Great news! Spectra Plus is now rolling out internet and TV services in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, better service and better prices from the new and improved Spectra Plus. Spectra Plus TV plans for $59.99 per month, VAT included. Adult TV 3 channels plus $29.99. For more information, call 1784-534-2551 or 1784-532-2501. Fast, reliable broadband and television services for your home or business. Spectra Plus TV, internet, better. Welcome to Nice International Group of Companies. We provide online shopping, air shipping to SVG and the entire Caribbean via Amerijet and FedEx, ocean shipping throughout the entire Caribbean, and door-to-door delivery from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New York to SVG via air and sea. Locations Boston and New York, USA, and Camden Park, SVG. At Nice International, you are family and friend, not a customer. So contact us today. Nice International Logistics LLC for shipping, packaging, and moving. 2110 Newkirk Avenue, Apartment 6A, Brooklyn, New York. Telephone 1347-500-9142 or 1617-594-2283 or email NYEESINTSHIPPM@gmail.com. Remember, it's Nice International for shipping, packaging, and moving.
If you're looking for fresh fruit in Kingstown, then Randy's Fruit Stall is where you need to check. Located in Middle Street, next to PH Vera Supermarket. Always fresh and priced to suit any pocket. Check him out and you will see what I'm talking about. It's Randy's Fresh Fruit Stall.
St. Vincent, get ready because football is back on Monday, June 6th at 3 p.m. Vinci Heat takes on Nicaragua at the Annisvale Sporting Stadium. And it doesn't stop there. On Friday, June 10th, same time, same place, Vinci Heat takes on Trinidad and Tobago. And did somebody say after party? Admission adults 20, children 10, and the party stand 25. Get ready for this TV football action. And get this, for a limited time with any purchase of Vinci Heat replica, you pay half price for any game. It's the SVGFF Nations League going down at Honorsville. Football and the after party is back.
It's that time of year again when Vinci Liberators Inc. presents Mr. Brown's Caribbean Style Brunch on Saturday, June 11th, 2022, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 247 New York Avenue, Brooklyn. Entrance between St. John's Place and the corner of New York Avenue. Cost $15. Menu includes saltfish, smoked herring, scratch, sweet potatoes, green banana, coconut dumplings, baked mint and chocolatey, plus local drinks. For more information, contact Patricia Brown, 347-243-4609. Elliot Hines, 347-285-6806. Or Renson Brown, 347-399-4819. It's Vinci Liberators Inc. Caribbean Style Brunch on Saturday, June 11th, 2022. It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Kankadi Radio.
Yes, you're Yes, you're listening to Jim Lois on a Sunday evening with Canadian content. Canadian content highlight music, news, sports, talk, and much more, all with a Canadian flavor. Please feel free to join us every Sunday evening. Join Jim Lois on Concordia Radio with Canadian content.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bihil Online Radio and Concordi Radio. Rasbeshai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Rasbeshai.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
Bay Hill News Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, Cancardi Radio, and Success Radio Canada, and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.
Yes, you're listening to Jim Lois on a Sunday evening with Canadian content. Canadian content highlight music, news, sports, talk, and much more, all with a Canadian flavor. Please feel free to join us every Sunday evening. Join Jim Lois on Concordi Radio with Canadian content.
Join your host, Ras Bishai, for Stepping into the Light every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bihil Online Radio and Concordi Radio. Ras Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ras Bishai.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
I was getting feedback. Yeah, greetings, welcome to this 23rd program for the year, the 73rd in all, for Stepping into the Light at Bay Hill News Network, Friday, 27th May 2022. Yes, Matotep to all listening and following worldwide. Special greetings to Iman Gary Funa family and the Gary Funa Nation, to Iman Rastafari family, universally. It's good to be here with you again for yet another program, so link up all your family, your friends, your loved ones, your business associates, and ask them to listen to tonight's program, Stepping into the Light, with your presenter, Ras Bishai. As per usual, we give thanks and praises to the Most High. Glory to the Word, glory to the Son, glory to the power of the Most High. Jah Rastafari. Blessed be the high rates of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen. One perfect balance. Almighty Creator of the universe, and I give thanks for your love, your care, and your guidance throughout the times, and for bringing I here for another program. Continue to shine thy light into I path, as I step into the light and onto Mount Zion. Blessed be the high rates of I ancestors in Eteru, which walk alongside I always. Continue to keep I people feet from slipping and falling, our hands from stealing, from mischief and stealing, and our mouths from slander and idle speaking. And I call on the Goddess Mad and the 42 Divine Ones from creation, keep I people firmly on the 7 basic principles of truth, order, balance, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Give I life over death, light over darkness, mind over matter, and good over evil,
every time. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Yes, people have to give thanks to the leading radio station in this part right now, the owners and operators of Bay Hill News Network and of Concordia Radio up there in Canada, as well as to the sponsors of this program and you, the listeners to this program, who make it a reality. Sending condolences to the bereaved who have lost loved ones, family or friends during the past week, and we are asking, may they rise in power. Okay, we have two citizens of members of Camden Park community who will be sent to the great beyond. Their remains will be buried next day, Saturday. That's our brethren Kaija. His funeral service and his laying of his body will take place at the Chauncey Cemetery. And one of my neighbors in the plan, Edith Charles, she will be laid to rest at the Lomans Hill Cemetery tomorrow. So may they again rise in power. Condolences to the bereaved. Sending all strong greetings to all those who celebrated their birthday sometime during the past week. Hope that you enjoyed your day and that you feel stronger and better and more secure than you were a day or two ago. And welcome to all the newborns who entered the earth during the past week. We're asking you to please choose good over evil in your doings every time, every time. Yes, people, happenings on this Friday, the last Friday in the month of May, the year 2022. And it's a Friday of reasonably good weather. Some places in the country would have gotten some small showers today. Yesterday had more showers than the day before, because Wednesday officially practically marked the beginning of the showers of this post-rainy season of the year. And we had more of it on Thursday. So I know that all farmers are very happy right now, because this is the start of the first rainy season of the year, and they would be looking to make the best use of it. Some people are raring to go, ready to go. Some people are in the process of still cleaning lands and so, but everybody is very thankful for the rains that are coming now, the change in the weather, because food must be grown. Food has to be planted in the earth for us to survive and for us to flourish as a people. Okay? So we're going to look at a lot of agricultural things tonight, but some sayings, some happenings that took place this week which we must note of. The corporate state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, by way of its government and Ministry of Culture, for the first in a very long time, officially led the commemoration of Africa Day, or African Liberation Day that used to be known. Okay? And that in itself is a good thing. The reason for doing so, or the reasons, seem to be manifold. Seems to be in keeping with the Indian Arrival Day, which they had very recently, just a few days ago. Especially now that the Indian Prime Minister was a visitor to the state. We hosted him, his visit. But also because of the time and the sources for the system right now, the main source of the system, which is down really, the darkness system is down, not just in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but throughout the whole corporation system. Trying to hold on to something, the biggest energy source around now is the conscious community. Many of the people who are Rastafari and other people So in trying to gain some energy, and I see it as one of the reasons why the state has been out front in commemorating this day and inviting bodies like the Rastafari community to actively participate in this day. So, of course, brethren and sisters went forward because we know that in everything we could handle ourselves to make the most of it and the best of it. And some people saw it as one opportunity to showcase and sell, trade a lot of their goods, including food and craft, at an advantageous spot in the town which is not available to them or to any other person normally. But now that they have occupied it and made good use of it and shown that they could utilize these spaces properly, I hope from there now it will grow that this space will be used very often as needed by the Rastafari community and others of such mentality, that we could participate and own and be empowered more fully in this economy, because really the space is ours. But until the consciousness of the people reach up to the level where we know that space is ours and we have a right to it, just as where the corporate state is trying to, all the corporate states in the country, in the region, but in this one in particular, trying to declare ownership over it in the name of the so-called crown, the queen. We know that's not the real case. But we are cooperative people. We are people who would collaborate. We're not a corporation. But we know exactly where our strength is, and we know how to claim our justice, and we will be using that space when necessary, so that our people, our entrepreneurial people in the town, would advance their business activities as deemed fit. So, corporate state is on notice. Okay, so I just want to big up all the brethren and sisters who heartily took part in it, not reacting as lambs to the slaughter, but reacting within their own irates, knowing that they are doing it on an equal footing, and this is not being led by the nose, so to speak. Okay? We know that in the region and elsewhere, the system is trying to reset its matrix, but the matrix is broken. So they have to also know that we know that. So we see these openings as being inevitable. They have no choice but to do that. And in doing that, we will take the opportunity to empower ourselves in some way. Okay? Right. So that was the two things. There are three other things that happened. One, the Minibus Drivers Association, which was a bit low-key for some time, has sprung to life and has sent a proposal to Cabinet of increased transportation fares, bus fares for the public throughout certain routes. And probably they expected an instantaneous reply in the positive, but that didn't happen. Well, I would say from this level that an increase in bus fares is justified in transportation fares. In doing these things, it needs a broader consensus, a broader agreement of people, an informed consensus of people before these things could be realized. Because we're living in one physical space on this island. We're living in the same economic space, so to speak. And we all are feeling rough edges at some time. So everything has to be in balance. So while the call for increased bus fares is not unjustified based on the cost of keeping a transport going right now, the cost, it must be in balance and respect to the earnings and the spending power of the majority of people. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So let us make sure that we approach it in the right way, and when we agree on something that everybody is satisfied, so we could go forward as a people. This is no time to squabble here and squabble here and squabble here. Okay? I want to say something else that is coming from the people and from I also as a public sector traveler, somebody who travels with the public sector or the same transportation sector all the time. Increase, yes, size of the increase, big, small or medium, once it's agreed to, is one thing. But with that increase, something that we've been calling for even before this proposed increase is a significant increase in the climate within those units of transport. In particular, the outrageous sound level of the so-called music that is played by the majority of transport buses, especially when children are in the buses. And there is no argument to be put up that the children like it so. Children don't like anything so. We as adults have to lead, not mislead the children, because children have, when you're at that age, you're very gullible and vulnerable to certain things, into trying to get them sick mentally by damaging their eardrums, and also by, at the time of the day when they're going to school or coming from school, putting thoughts in their head which are not conducive to what they have to study in school or what they have to study at home coming from school. So this hasn't got to go to any government to make any ruling on it. This has to come from your level of cooperation and your level of, as a public person, as a public actor, to realize that it's your responsibility as a citizen, as a member, not a citizen, as a member of the public, higher than a citizen, to know that you have to keep your music in balance, both in terms of the loudness of your music and the content of your music. Okay? So if you cannot improve that, that's one. And also people are complaining about the number of people you try to pack in a vehicle that could normally hold 14 to 16 people. It all looks like if you're grabbing at the dollar, grabbing at the dollar. This is no time to be grabbing at dollars, because you're grabbing the dollar in one hand and you lose it in the other. Once you start to do that, karma is such that you will get into some trouble with the practicing law of traffic, that you will get a ticket that will reduce whatever fare you made from that last 2-3 days and is going to the system. So operate as sensible people. Stop overpacking your vans. Stop having your conductors cocking up with half yourself outside the van or half in the front seat. And stop playing this loud, outrageous, very often nonsensical music in your vans while people are there. That's if you're alone traveling, you and the conductor is okay. That's your thing. But once people are paying to ride, you cannot pay to get people deaf. Okay? So that is what you have to do. And again, be very careful on the road. I've seen in the last 2-3 weeks some reckless overtaking on the South Leeward Highway. That's where I travel most of the time. Reckless. And it's just a matter of time that some of these accidents waiting to happen will happen. And I dread the day that we'll have innocent loss of life due to some non-thinking driver always trying to, some vain thing, trying to prove something else to his counterparts and so on, which is totally unnecessary in this time. Totally unnecessary. Okay? So that is what I have to say on that aspect of it. Tonight we're talking heavily about agriculture and about food and food security. Heavily. Heavily. So for those of you who are looking at the program now, following now, you could share this live video with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your business associates. Because it's a serious business. I know people don't like serious business, especially when it comes to a Friday night. A time for them to booze off and relax, and especially now carnival in the air, and listen to all kind of things. But tomorrow when you wake up, the problem's still facing you, and facing you even larger. Right? And then when you do that, and you don't spend any time listening to programs like these or any others, when you meet, I don't ask if any radio or anything. Don't ask like any question at all. Because people like I come and give up the time to inform you and to show the light and show the way in certain things, and you deliberately not pay attention because your mind is taken up with entertainment and vanity. That's where most of you are, and then you complain. No sense complaining. You set your own paradigm, you live in it. Your paradigm does not conform to your development, that's your problem. Don't try and come and burden others with it. So you have the opportunity now. Many are called. Who would respond? Some are chosen. Few. So here we go tonight. There was the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo that took place. This is from CARICOM, from May 19th to May 21st this year in Guyana. Now many of you don't pay attention to these things. And these are the things which impact on the way you are governed or misgoverned. These are the things. So whether things go nice, they don't go nice, or they go very bad, if you don't pay attention to it, you're out in the darkness. You deliberately putting yourself in the darkness. Okay? So you have no excuse. This was organized by the government of Guyana in collaboration with the CARICOM Secretariat. The CARICOM Secretariat, okay? And what came out of that? What came out of that meeting? Outcome statement of the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo, May 19 to 21st, 2022. And you know that we sent a delegation led by our Minister of Agriculture, right? And when you look at the composition of the delegation, you ask yourself if that delegation is really relevant to what was discussed and what was being discussed in Ghana. Or if it was just a line some of these people going on. Because it's very hard objectively to relate that delegation composition to what was really discussed and what was expected to come out of it. And we in this condition here, this condition, where there's very little organized representation of the farmers, the farming sector, and the food and fishing sector, and very little empowerment of them, so that they are not really represented properly in these sittings. In this sitting like these, we don't really get into the decision making or be a part of the real nitty-gritty, the reasoning of what takes place. So we only are told what to do and are expected to follow suit and do what we are told to do. And most of the time, the clothes that are made for this sector, the fishing and the agriculture sector, don't fit. They don't fit at all. Many times they're too tight. They give you a size 4 when you're supposed to be wearing a size 7, and so on. And other people, their clothes are too big. When they're supposed to be wearing a large, you give them a 2X. So they're not comfortable in it either. And that is why CARICOM is so ineffective in this time. But let us say what they said in this summary, okay? a representative group of CARICOM heads of government from Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Guyana, Montserrat, and Trinidad and Tobago, and other high-level representatives from the Bahamas, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, and regional international institutions met in Georgetown, Guyana, at the Arthur Chung Conference Center on May 19th and 20th, 2022, as participants in the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo, with the subtitle, Investing in Vision 25 by 2025. That's the title, Investing in Vision 25 by 2025, organized by the Government of Guyana in collaboration with the CARICOM Secretariat. Sure you've heard of this Vision 25 by 2025 already. It's basically where, not too long ago, 2 years ago to be exact, the same body, CARICOM heads of government, agreed that they will put steps in place to cut the regional food import bill, which at that time was $6 billion per year, by 25% by 2025. So they had 5 years in which to do it. This is the second year, 2020, 21, 20. This is second year, and very little, if anything, has been done. Very little has been done. Some things have been done, but very little activities. So this is the forum which will discuss that. Now, what happened at that forum? The group took the opportunity of the important and timely forum to discuss the current grave global situation of the shortages and high prices of imported food, the shortage and increased prices of fertilizers and other agricultural inputs, and the severe problems affecting transportation and supply. That is the context of where we are right now, okay? In a paragraph. Shortages, okay? Globally, and high prices of imported food to the region. The shortage of increased prices of fertilizers and other inputs, and the severe problems affecting transportation and supply. Now, especially this last sentence, severe problems affecting transportation supply. As a Vincentian, you would want to wonder about that one. Wait, didn't we just officially open and commission an international airport a few years ago, and were told, were beaten over the ears with the words that it will bring more trade, more flows of trade, especially agricultural trade. They said even larger Amerijet planes to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What is the reality to the people? I leave that answer to you. Those of you who are right here on the ground, you will see it immediately. Those of you who are outside and listening, the others will tell you because you communicate very often. Okay? The leaders noted, so after they took that opportunity, they noted with great concern that the member states of CARICOM have been deeply impacted by these developments, which have resulted in a dramatic increase in the cost of food, exposing still further the region's food insecurity due to the vulnerability of external influences. Let me pause there for a moment. Now, this is not the first time that this particular concern was noted. And you will see why when we get into the program. That is not even a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years, much longer than that. But these talking heads have done absolutely very little. They have done very little to address the situation. Having said and agreed that they would address the situation, they have turned against the word. And in many cases, they have done the reverse. Okay? Right. The group recognized that within CARICOM, member states have the capacity to attain a high level of food security for the community as a whole, provided that urgent action is taken to establish sustainable machinery and to adhere to the terms of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. If you're hearing about the term revised Treaty of Chaguaramas or Treaty of Chaguaramas, then you're not in keeping with what is necessary to be in keeping within the region. To put it as the school children say, you're studying stupidness. If you are a concerned person complaining about the high cost of living and the bad policies enacted by these governments in context, which are basically rulerships in the region, have not heard before of the Treaty of Chaguaramas and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, then you're just wasting time. Because all the other time take up listening to things which are not important to your liberty. And you get caught up in that darkness, that matrix that they have set for you, that your time and your energies are being used to make you ignorant of the truth and to make you wallow in poverty and suffer all the time and dependent on the political system. That's where you are. And until we could get a generation of people who act and think differently, that's going to be a problem for a long time. The people in this country mainly are their own problem, because they don't listen to the right thing, they're not concerned about it, they're not working together, they're not collaborating together, and they spend too much time studying what they should not be studying, which is to love the Babylon system instead of their own, formulating your own economic and development agenda. You spend it in the darkness. So here we are on this program asking you to step into the light, and very few of you pay attention to it, basically. But other people in the region are doing it tremendously. So when you get left behind as you are right now, being the third poorest country in the CARICOM region and the seventh poorest country in the entire region, the entire Americas, way down the road, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Nobody to blame but yourself. So what is the Jagdeo initiative? Basically, the Jagdeo initiative takes its name from the person who proposed it, Basdio Jagdeo of Guyana. It's a strategy for removing constraints to the development of agriculture in the Caribbean. Basically, that's what it is. A strategy for removing constraints to the development of agriculture in the Caribbean. It builds upon the past regional efforts for deepening the Caribbean agricultural policy, a common agricultural policy, CAP, which is something that they had in the, well, at least in Britain. They had it in Europe, in the European Union, early when I was there, when I used to go to the European Union in the 1990s, very often. They had what they call a CAP program, Common Agricultural Policy, where they normalize and remove restrictions between agricultural development and trade among the entire European Union, so that everything went smoothly. They got it working fairly efficiently, and they kept revising it often. We haven't got it working yet, because we are kind of different breed of people, mentally. We say things today, And we do things completely opposite tomorrow morning. That's how it is. Just being hypocritical to ourselves. Hypocritical. It also identifies 10 key binding constraints faced by the sector. 10 key binding constraints faced by the sector. Okay? And what are these constraints? Limited financing and inadequate new investments. A lot of these things you would have heard Ayman mention these things long time before and fairly often if you were paying attention. Not just on this radio station but on several radio stations over the years. Mention these same problems without even looking into that initiative. Just by analyzing what was taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Urumi. On limited financing and inadequate new investments. I told you what the limited financing of agriculture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was over the last 4 or 5 years. It's less than 2% of all the money the bank lends in this country goes to agriculture. Less than that. Agriculture and fisheries. Less than 2%, less than a penny in a dollar. Okay? Including what the so-called people-owned or supposedly people-owned cooperatives lend to the people. That is why you have so many cars on the road. Somebody holding the bill of sale. But there's not, how many tractors you see? When last you see a new tractor in this country? Of any size? Just an example, okay? Second constraint, outdated and inefficient agriculture, health and food security systems. Totally agree with it. And this was proposed in 2004. Jagdeo initiative. Since 2004, you know. Third constraint, inadequate research and development. Fourth constraint, fragmented and unorganized private sector. And this is deliberate. When he says private sector, he doesn't mean the big stores and so on. He means even the farmers' organizations. Okay? Because you are part, the farmers and the fisher folk are part of the private sector. Fragmented and unorganized. And this is, in many cases, deliberately kept so by the politics at play. Whether it is the 6 or the 9. Fragmented and unorganized. That's how they keep these organizations. So the farmers are scrambling for an organization with which to identify and to take them forward and make them realize their development goals and their needs. 5, inefficient land and water distribution and management systems. Inefficient land and water distribution and management systems. I want you to pay good attention to 5 because all these constraints and the recommendations to go forward were agreed to in principle by all the governments then in 2004, 2005. And this government has been in office since that, before that. Okay? So they agreed to something, but they have never ever ventured to manifest what they agreed to put it into practice. Okay? Never ever. That is why they're proposing now to take 59 acres of our best farmlands and put it into a quarry, lands out of the sector. Talking food security with the left side of your mouth and talking and practicing food insecurity with the right side of your mouth. No wonder the whole thing is confused. Confused. And you can't get to leave because you want to leave and you can't leave because you have in the region. Hypocrites. 6, deficient and uncoordinated risk management measures, including predial larceny. Predial larceny is a sore problem in most of the Caribbean, and in particular so in this country. And with all the legalese and the lawyers and the legal people they have, hear what it says here now? And the so-called constabulary force and whatnot. Deficient and uncoordinated risk management measures, including pre-deal larceny. I know they didn't like Jagdey when Jagdey noted these constraints, but these constraints weren't coming out of just of his head. These constraints were coming out of surveys that were done in the region, the entire region, by the top organizations, some of them, a lot of them, who relate to and fund and organize the same curriculum. They're telling you straight up front what the constraints are, because they hire professionals to look at them, and these professionals don't have any political or religious or any other kind of act to grind. They go out there and they do it to the best of their ability and they publish it. And that publishing is the truth on which everything should be built. But instead of building on the truth, subverting the truth, and you're trying to construct illusions different from the truth. You can understand? And now you're complaining about food security, food insecurity because of COVID. It had nothing to do with COVID. COVID only showed the big soles that were under the pants foot all the time. Now that you're wearing a short pants, everybody see the soles on your foot. COVID come like the short pants. Okay? 7, inadequate transportation system, particularly for perishables. Since the geese boat stopped coming here to the region regularly, we have had very little. We have had a vacuum, nothing to replace it. And since long before that, when we used to have the 2 regional carriers, right, that were donated by the Canadian government then, Federal Maple and Federal Palm, we have had very little transportation, adequate transportation. And Hayam made a slight impact, positive impact, in 1989-90, when it financed a vessel from here, a company from here to take food, particularly to Barbados, but they have not upped the grade. So then, because the then government, in its own deliberate judgment, decided that Hayam product should be terminated early. So there was no further benefits for the people who transport. And then compounded to that, the time when the farmers collectively had some money, some savings that they could have ventured into these things, like in the late 1980s, 1990s, through the Banana Association and the economy around it, again, politics licked it down. They said, no way, you ain't going nowhere, Jack. And with the help of some of the people who were in the organization itself, those funds just disappeared in less than a year or 2. So some people are their own worst enemy. Definitely so. And since that, the economic paradigm has shifted in the region, especially in this region here, from being agriculture based by the funders of the political parties in the region, the outside funders, I may say, the same people who call in all the shots, the puppet masters, to shift them to a tourism-based economy. And the tourism-based economy is to be nothing but a trap for poverty increase, generally, right? Low salaries, low wages, high food imports, and a gross increase, large increase in non-communicable diseases, poor health in the region, which you heard me say last week, reading their report. Okay? 8, weak and non-integrated information and intelligence systems. Weak and non-integrated information and intelligence systems, like the buyers, a lot of the buyers in Barbados and Trinidad or whatever, using Simmons, they don't know what we have in season now because there is no, except by water mouth from tropical, there is no linkage, there is no strengthening and integrated information and intelligence system, or what we will be putting in the earth next week or the week after. We don't have any proper planning in marketing and production. Basically, that is it. The little bit that we had when the marketing corporation was functioning in 2001, 2002, 2003, up to 2004, that was deliberately destroyed. And the entire entity was sold to a supermarket business, a foreign supermarket business. And farmers were left to scramble and catch for themselves. 9, weak marketing systems, linkages and participants in the growth market. Same thing I'm saying. Jagdio identified this, Jagdio and his team identified this as a major constraint in 2004. Okay? Major problem in 2004. Weak marketing system, linkages and participants in the growth markets. And 10, lack of skilled human resources. You only have yourself to blame, because we heard in this country that we had an education revolution. Since when? 2004, 2005? Oh, we have an education, blah, blah, blah. And our people, our non-thinking people, that's the softest I could put it. I can't put it any softer than that. I should really put it harder than that. But I just say that you are non-thinking and you don't care about thinking. Figure that because more numbers of people are going to school, that in itself was a revolution. That's not a revolution. That is not a revolution. Because the people who are not learning anything, they were not being tutored properly. They didn't have any increase in the number of people being sent to learn, really learn skills, be an apprentice, like an apprenticeship program, where you are attached to someone who already mastered something to a certain level for a certain time. And when you get a level of proficiency, then you get a certification. No, it was strictly theoretical. Whether you pass or you fail, make the grade, you are promoted based on your age. And so the dropout rate keep rising astronomically, and the dropout rate falling on the sands in the area, in the climate of poverty and separation and immorality and injustice, just turned to criminality. That is why we had all the blood flow in the last 15, 20 years. Practically, that's it. But you're still out there with your political self shouting this P or that P, 5 in a row, 6 in a row, time to go and whatnot, and you ain't getting anywhere, and you're still stuck in that matrix. You're still stuck in that mental frame. Well, you have to help yourself. Nobody else can help you. Okay? So the interventions that Jagdia proposed are these. Establishment of a regional agricultural modernization fund. I won't go into the details, I'm just giving you the brief things. He proposed these things in 2004 and they were agreed to in principle in 2005. Included by our government truly at that time. Not one of these 10 have been implemented or even been attempted to be implemented. Establishment of a regional agricultural modernization fund. When it suited them politically, they came up with this farmer support scheme, which was totally politics. It had nothing to do with the modernization of agriculture. It had just to do with buying political loyalty. Straight case. So right now, that has turned out to be just what I said, a waste. Because a lot of the monies that went there never even went into agriculture. And we know that without agriculture, there is no culture. So right now, we still have no culture. Establishment of a Caribbean Agricultural Health and Food Safety Agency, CAHSFA. Definition and implementation of a regional research and development policy and action plan. Yet to be seen. Strengthening of private sector organizations and collaboration. Yet to be seen. Establishment of a system of incentives for improved land and water use. Let me read that one again. Establishment of a system of incentives for improved land and water use. Instead of we have improved land use here, we have less land, so we can have improved use of land if we have less land. The land use now is to use our agricultural lands to turn them into quarry. This is what you signed on to in 2004, 5. But here we come 17 years later, and you only ain't gone back, because we know back at that, on your proposals, but you're going back fast and far, trying to go. You ain't gonna reach. You would never make it. Water use, we have less irrigated land right now than we had 20 years ago. Less lands right now under irrigation than we had 20 years ago. But we don't have less rain or less water availability than we had 20 years ago. No, we don't have that. What we have is an absence of a real government concern about the people and concern about agriculture and concern about the development of the economy for the people. That's what we have. Development of an integrated regional risk mitigation, that is natural disasters, and relief, including agricultural insurance. Development of an integrated regional risk mitigation and relief. Okay? Development of integrated regional risk mitigation and relief. We don't have that because even, as I said in the last meeting, the meeting before last, even our crop insurance program has been terminated. Wind crop office closed, they haven't even paid the lady a centers yet. Still calling you to pay the lady, you know. You have 3 days, 4 days left in the month. Pay the lady her money. Okay. All right. So we have no insurance for anything. Determination of freight needs, upgrading of ports, and consolidation of services. Determination of freight needs, upgrading of ports, and consolidation of services. Now, some people might point and say, well, we're building a big port down the road. Yeah, but the fishermen right now in serious discussion because they're catching the nenny. You want to move them from where they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be an integral part. They who provide help us to make sure that our food security has a hold in terms of providing food. Those who brave the oceans every day and go out there to catch fish, to bring here to feed us. So healthy fish in our waters, our big space in the Caribbean waters, probably want to import the food that they're catching to increase the amount of non-communicable diseases and increase poverty at the same time. They're catching the nenny to get you to approve space for them to have a proper facility to do what they're supposed to do so that they could add more to our GDP. They shouldn't be in that position at all. Strengthening of joint marketing opportunities and facilitation of access to EXIM type financing. Okay? And finally, upgrading and integration of curriculum and training at all levels. How many times have you heard me say on the IMC on this program that we have to train, we have to change our curriculum? Here is Jagdeo and his team. Never spoken to the gentleman, but he's thinking along the right way. He thought along the right way in 2004 and up to today, he's still thinking along the right way. The Jagdeo initiative is there, still not implemented in the revised version of Shagaramas. So here we are. Here they are scrambling this week in Ghana to try now 17 years later and say, boy, we're wasting time, you know. This time we talk again about the Jagdeo initiative. Talking heads, that's all they do. Talking heads, not implementation. We have to implement as people, we have to implement these things. So what did they give the green light to? The group agreed that of action to implement the 2005 framework for the reposition of Caribbean agriculture, the Jagdeo initiative, 2005, you know. 17 and 5 is 22. So 17 years ago, they agreed something. And today, 17 years after, they have not moved a muscle to implement it. So they agreed that the lack of action to implement the 2005 framework for the repositioning of CARICOM and agriculture, which was agreed by CARICOM governments, constrained the community's capacity to safeguard against the impact of the present crisis. You know, should really make these people pay and pay daily. We, the people of CARICOM, should make these people pay daily. Not just politically, but we should make them pay in cash daily, because they are the chief servants of the region, and they're supposed to be representing us according to what they say is a democracy, right? And they agree to something on our behalf and reneged on it, didn't implement it, and here is what it costs us now. By the way, let me just give you what the CARICOM import food bill was in 2000. In 2000, before Jagdeo proposed it, it was $1.054 billion US dollars. When Jagdeo proposed it in 2004, it was $1.25 billion US dollars. When it was approved, as said here, by the heads of government of CARICOM in 2005, it was $1.54 billion US dollars. You know what it is today? Well, not today, but in 2020, 6 billion US dollars and growing. 6 billion. It has grown 4 times, 400% increase since Jagdeo initiative was agreed to in principle in 2005. These people have committed fraud, and we have to hold them accountable. What else did they give the green to? In this connection, they welcome the timely and important vision of the Agricultural Development Plan. They love to pat themselves on the back. They say now this is a vision. Something which should have been manifested long time ago, they now call it a vision. But let's say it's a vision. Okay? Aligned with advancing the CARICOM agri-food systems agenda under the motto prioritizing food and nutrition security and the 25 by 25 plan. Prioritizing food and nutrition security and the 25 by 2025 plan. Now last week I told you what the report was from Professor Henry and his team about the problem we have in the region, and in particular in St. Vincent and Grenadines here, by our consumption of imported food, 17% of which is ultra processed and should never even enter our harbors or enter our territorial waters. But we are consuming. And another 43% or 46% rather of highly processed food, semi-processed food, our fats and oils and our sugar imported, that gives obesity, stroke and heart failure. Those are 3 of the main things listed. Okay? Through non-implementation of this Jagdeo initiative, non-implementation of where we were supposed to go. Telling Jagdeo, patting him on his back and say, okay, yeah, nice proposal, but from the time you turn over from him, you start to play hypocrite. And that is where you left Jagdeo. But Jagdeo have a message for you. Jagdeo requests a tune for you. You'll get it just now. Okay? This plan was presented by Orphan Ali of Guyana at the Conference of Heads of Government in CARICOM in March 2022. Just in the first quarter, they proposed that. Okay? So, they also resolved this. they resolve to recommend for the adoption by all CARICOM heads of government the following 4 priority areas to address food security urgently and sustainably, including through the speedy implementation of decisions. 1, food insecurity. We won't get into the details right now. 2, regional transportation. 3, trade barriers. And 4, women and youth. But I don't know if my technician is wrong, but I would like to hear how these people are hypocritical. If we could get Jimmy Cliff to just play the request by Mr. Jack Leo for these people. If not, we'll get that coming a little later. But we need to remind them that they're hypocrites. They have been hypocritical. They have been really hypocritical. So here we are scrambling with this outcome statement of the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo. How many farmers, how many agro-processors, how many small businesses out there had their products or even knew about this thing was taking place and had a sample of their products shown, represented at this expo? I could remember going to one in 2005 in Trinidad. And I have a document at home which I will bring here and show you the orders we got from that little expo. That was the last year of our marketing cooperation taking place in any regional expo. After that, it was liquidated, it was dissolved, the marketing cooperation. And you hear them now with all kind of talk about bringing back the marketing cooperation. They're trying to correct the mistakes they made because they realize that the hole that they are in now, the big dark hole. So they're trying to come out of it, but they can't come out of it. They don't know how to, and they don't have the will to. And the steps to come out of it, they don't have the guts to take the steps. They don't have it. They have no inclination of doing that. We the people have to do that. We the people collectively have to do that. And we have to do that for our own safety and our own liberty. And if we don't do that, all fall down. And we've been doing a serious injustice. So let me hear what Jimmy Cliff has to say on this Jaglio initiative. Jaglio sending a message to them through Jimmy Cliff, because they are very hypocritical. They have been very hypocritical. And I send a message too, and lots of other people. But you can't turn your back on your fellow people. 2004 this was proposed, and 2005 it was agreed to, and 2022 nothing implemented. You're still scrabbling. You're still scrabbling and scratching and so on. Still scrabbling and scratching. That's really poor. Really, really poor. That is the darkness of the CARICOM structure we have here.
Hypocrite, you dirty hypocrite. You're gonna pay the price someday. Hypocrites, all of you hypocrites.
All of you hypocrites, man.
You're gonna pay the price someday.
Pay the price right now.
Words you speak from your mouth, but your heart is telling lies.
Our heart telling lies, man.
Hypocrite, you better watch out.
One thing. Program not on.
We walk, we talk together. Yes, we do. We ate, we drank together. Yes, we did. But when I find you're a snake in the grass, price someday. Words you speak from your mouth, but your heart is still alive. Oh, hypocrite, you better watch out. All the time I was joking with you, you were planning to make me blue. On one side of your smile was a frown. You said you wish me well, yet you dragged me down. Anywhere you go, there is always one to be found. Oh, hypocrite, stinking hypocrite, you're gonna pay the price someday. Hypocrite, you rotten hypocrite, you're gonna pay the price someday. Words you speak from your mouth, but your heart is still alive. Oh, hypocrite, you better watch out. Hypocrites, dirty hypocrites, I know you're gonna pay the price someday. Oh, hypocrites, all of you hypocrites, I know you're gonna pay the price someday. Oh, hypocrites, all of you hypocrites, I know you're gonna pay the price. I said you're gonna pay the price someday. Yeah, hypocrites, all of you hypocrites.
And this one is from A, because you're some hypocrites now. I really want Beanie Man to help me sing this one now. This one is from I and the people around him. This is particularly for our leadership here, our rulership here. Tell them, Beanie Man. Tell them. Bunch of hypocrites. Bunch of hypocrites.
Yes, I am. Them say the kind of you think me don't know the all them no like me. See them all like but that still not strike me. But me a cut and got choke all loving on me heart. Enough of them want to spite me, but who me don't know the people them no like me. So me that stop a laugh again in a me Nike. True we know how we buy we things we no listen on. Enough of them want to spite me. See them now watch no face, cause we don't try the case. Tell them mama them can't help it. Them no know how we run the place, car machine pan the base. A man a done millionaire from we are 20. Tell them say stop watch me clothes and stop watch me Kyle. Stop watch me pose and me Rasta man style. Stop watch me nose and stop watch me file. And like with a hypocrite smile. Me don't know say none of you no like me. See them all hype but that still not strike me. But we are cut and got choke all up in a way. Enough of them want to spite me, but who we don't know say none of them no like me. So me a go fall off again in a way Nike. Cause how we buy we things we no listen on. Enough of them want to spite me. Yes, I need a want to see the thief and we so survive. Tell them move and go cause them are evil. And them a bad mind money from me few ganja leaf. Them a stop call police, them a weeble. Tell them to stop watch me clothes, stop watch me style. Stop watch me pose and me Rasta man style. Stop watch me nose, stop watch me file. And let go with your hypocrite smile. Cause we don't know the police who no like me. See them all hype up but that still not strike me. But we a cut and got to call up in a way. No for them want to spite me, but who we don't know the pussy they no like me. So me a go fall off again in a me Nike. Cause I me buy me things me no listen all. No for them want it. Come again. We now watch no face. Sorry, don't try the case. Tell them mama, them child free. Tell them say how we run the place. Some machine from the place. Some man not done with that. From we are 20. Tell them to stop watch we clothes and stop watch we Kyle. Stop watch we pose and the Rasta man style. Stop watch me nose and stop watch me file. And let go with the hypocrite smile. We don't know this. No like me. See them all hype up, but that thing not strike me. But we are got and got choke all up in our heart. None of them want to fight me. Cause we don't know the fussy them no like me.
Wait. Yeah, right now we want to take a pause.
Yes.
On station ID. Okay? Want to take a pause for station ID, get some ads going, and we're coming right forward because we have a lot more to talk about this food security initiative in the region. Yeah. Who were in the meetings to set some important things. But right now, we give it to our sponsor.
Welcome to NICE International Group of Companies. We provide online shopping, air shipping to SVG and the entire Caribbean via Amerijet and FedEx, ocean shipping throughout the entire Caribbean, and door-to-door delivery from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey and New York to SVG via air and sea. Locations Boston and New York, USA, and Camden Park, SVG. At NICE International, you are family and friend, not a customer. So contact us today. International Logistics LLC for shipping, packaging, and moving. 2110 New Kirk Avenue, Apartment 6A, Brooklyn, New York. Telephone 1347-500-9142 or 1617-594-2283 or email nyesentshippm@gmail.com. Remember, it's NICE International for shipping, packaging, and moving. Hi friends, what's happening in your corner? Beta group meeting, a sporting activity, a community activity, some upcoming event. Whatever happening in your corner, let us know. We share it on Concardi Radio. So email us at concardi.radio@gmail.com. That's CANCARDI.radio@gmail.com. We are in your corner.
You're listening to Jim Lois on a Sunday evening with Canadian content. Canadian content highlight music, news, sports, talk, and much more, all with a Canadian flavor. Please feel free to join us every Sunday evening. Join Jim Lois on Concardi Radio with Canadian content.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Concardi Radio.
The Sports Block. SVG's newest sports commentary program on Bay Hill News Network. Featuring hosts Roxelle John and Warren Oliver. Saturdays, 6 p.m. Vincent, get ready, because football is back on Monday, June 6th at 3 p.m. BBC Heat takes on Nicaragua at the Honors Vegas Sporting Stadium. And it doesn't stop there. On Friday, June 10th, same time, same place. 18, adults 20, children 10, and the party stand 25. Get ready for the steamy football action and get this, for a limited time with any purchase of Fancy Heat replica, you pay half price for any game. It's the SVGFF Nations League going down at Honorsville. Football and the after party is back.
The Sports Block, SVG's newest sports commentary program on Bay Hill News Network, featuring hosts Roxelle John and Warren Oliver. Saturdays, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Informative? Check. Interactive? Check. Heated and opinionated? Check. Look out for special guests each week. Log on and speak out by calling 529-8518 to the Sports Block. Saturdays, 6 to 9 p.m. only on Bay Hill News Network.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping Into the Light every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bay Hill Online Radio and Concardi Radio. Ross Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping Into the Light with host Ross Bishai.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
Yeah, 1784-529-5818. That's the number to call. 529-5818, 1784. If you want to be part of the program. Right now, we're getting into the biodynamic gardening moon guide for the period Saturday 28 May to Friday 3rd June 2022. Okay? That's tomorrow. Okay? Yeah, Vaughn. Just hold a while and let me finish the moon phase and then you'll come in. Okay? Stay on the line all the time.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So tomorrow we have the waning crescent phase. We're still in the waning crescent phase. And it's time to rest still. You do not plant any seeds in the moon phase. You rest, avoid sowing seed. It's a barren phase, and that, not that the seed won't germinate, but it would not have the life-giving nutrients in the food. So that's called a barren phase, okay? Harvest and store crops. It's time to fertilize, time to transplant, it's time to clean up the place, destroy weed, and it's also time to mow lawns and prune. Okay? So that is what you have to do. That is what you were recommended to do in this week. And this is the week when you, because the rains are so timely, the rains just started coming, you still have a couple days to do that cleaning up. For those who haven't finished their cleaning up or those who have just started their cleaning up, this is the time to get into the action. Particularly tomorrow, Sunday, and even Monday. Okay? So, same thing takes place for tomorrow, from Sunday the 29th. Waxing crescent moon phase. And the same recommendations. On Monday, it's a new moon, it's a new time, it's a new beginning, it's a new matrix. Yes, rise, people, rise. It's a new light. The new moon is on Monday the 30th. It's time to rest, to celebrate, and to meditate. And this new moon is taking place at the right time. And when I give you the moon sign, you would see why. Okay? So Monday is really your day to rest, to celebrate, to meditate, and to get ready to go forward, because from Tuesday, the moon will be waxing. It will be a waxing crescent. That will be the moon phase. Waxing crescent, and it's a good time in the waxing crescent to plant what? Above the ground short crops, particularly leaf plants. This is when you plant your things like, or you set your seeds like your celery, your lettuce, leaf plants, you know, spinach, those kind of things that gives leaves and no fruits really, basically. But also good time to plant cucumbers, right? You plant corn also. You plant your herbs, your seasonings, your sweet marjoram, your thyme, your basil, your rosemary, your sage, all these things. All these things are good time to plant. Your guinea pepper, all these things. To mow your lawns, soft and prune. So the moon is starting to wax in the crescent form from Tuesday. And that will continue for the entire week up to Friday. Waxing crescent phase, and the same recommendation. Planting your short crops, planting your leaf crops, planting some of your corn, plant your cucumbers, plant your herbs. Okay? Mow your lawn, graft and plant. Make sure that you are satisfying your food security requirements as much as possible in your own home. You might not have the space to do it, but if you cut down the amount of money you have to spend in the supermarkets or the grocery by 20, 30, 40%, you're doing well. Don't do like the talking heads and just chatter, chatter, chatter and be a hypocrite even to your own comrades like Jagdi and others and so on. Don't be a hypocrite to these people, because his initiative is a good one, and if they had built on it at the time, we wouldn't have been in this mess now. So what are the moon signs? Saturday, the moon sign is still fruit sign, Aries. Okay? But Sunday that changed, root sign, Taurus. And on the new moon, it's also the root sign. So roots, get your ideas in. The new moon is starting from the roots, the root of everything. Root, not the root. And that is why your ideas, and if you are woke and coming now with this new moon, in this cosmic, things are going to take root and they're going to grow. They're going to grow. So this new moon is a special new moon. It's a new moon where once you sow things and they take root, because of the root sign, they will take root and they will grow. So use this new moon and this waxing crescent phase to grow. Tuesday is the same root, same Taurus sign, okay? Root. And Thursday and Friday, Wednesday and Thursday, Gemini, flower signs, Gemini signs, flower signs. Okay? And then Friday is a leaf sign, Cancer.
I left on the light. Oh, okay.
So that's where you have it. Okay? So make sure you do some planting with this first week of the first rainy season of the year. Do instant here. Do something, people. Plant something. Get into it. You hear the problems we were having, and we are going to get to a little more problems later on after we take this call. Yes, Vaughn, you're on.
Greetings, everybody. On again from Nation. I just wanted to point out, you mentioned about the increase in the bus fare, and I think it's all unfair, because the truth of the matter is, the system, as you say, who were like the government, supposed to be the one providing transportation. These are private people, and they really shouldn't come to the people for more money, especially when everything is being taken away from the people. Where are they going to come up with this fare? I have to disagree with going to the people for more money. I think what they should do is get together with the people and put the charges to the government that's been robbing us all this time. You pointed out that being robbed on the agriculture side. We were being robbed on our cultural side. We're being robbed in every aspect. The promise of something, whether it's fisheries, the schools, the conditions of the schools, the condition of lack of opportunity to do anything for the youth. They're being forced to take scholarships or whatever, go on a ship and go off their land. I don't think the answer is going again. This is a time to change your ideas of what you were taught, and what you think you know or understand about the government. Are we the government? Yes, we are. We are sovereigns. But they took it upon themselves to be the servants. Okay? Have they served you? No. Now, the reason all these prices are going in hikes is for us to wake up and put our foot down. It's not for us to pass the buck. That's what I wanted to say. It's time for everybody to come together as one and stop the nonsense and stop passing the buck to the other set of people. It's really not fair. I agree that maybe they need some fair. Maybe that's not what maybe they need to bring the buses in for them, or not necessarily the buses, but take care of the cost of the roads themselves, the governance, the roads, and all the supplies for the drivers. Take care of the type of music through the people. The people decide what type of music and how long. I agree with all of that, and how loud it's going to be, because they're all the drivers become the servants as well if they're on the road doing a service. Everything is prepaid, because there is no money. There is no money. Where are you getting the money from? They're using the information of it's data, or data, as you say. So it cannot be the living beings that's coming and forking up to create the currency or the economic payment. You know, I just tend to agree on bringing the cost up and up, because in the end, it's not coming back to the people. It's going to the unknown people who have elites who have the puppetry acting on these people to squeeze the true heirs of the land. It never comes back. It doesn't come back to repair the road. It doesn't come back to repair the vans. It doesn't come back to do anything in regards to the people. So it's time for everybody to come together and do what's right.
Okay, well, I hope that your message is heard loud and clear, recommendations, and that all concerned take the necessary action actions, not just action, but actions to make it reality, because lots of people are not awoke or awake or up to the level of understanding where they are functioning in this economy, these type of economies. They're not part of it, and some of them are not even interested in part of it. That's the problem I was saying. So until we get the people to be more positively responsive and proactive to these things, and to empower themselves, where this type of fare, as you correctly said, should be an agreement between the people and the taxi drivers for the service, because in any economy it's goods and service that are trading somehow, whether for kind of or cash or whatever, and generating in a way that it circulates into the economy again to do any necessary thing they point out, like keeping the roads and so together. Until we get to that level of understanding, we're not going to get anywhere. So I hope that they get the message that you're sending. Okay?
The other thing I'm going to add to this, because you mentioned the Carib currency, Petro-Carib. Yes, now that's the Petro-Carib dollar. It's all related to why the prices are high, because it wasn't backed by anything. In fact, if it was backed by anything, it would be the people. So you keep paying and paying and paying to create this dollar and whatever, and you did not make this agreement to go into this Petro-Carib business. And have you asked for the full documentation or the accountability, which I know you have? Have you received it? So you're consenting. Each time you accept, you are consenting and creating a new contract. Just like when you go to the elections, you're creating a contract when the system is already down. I just wanted to add that. Peace.
Okay. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Thank you. So we're getting into now what else was said in the agricultural realm recently, or fairly recently. Okay? Now, let us look at what was said a couple of years ago at the Council for Trade and Economic Development on Agriculture, held on the 8th October, on the last day of the 16th Caribbean Week of Agriculture. 16th week, okay? That would be not too long ago, okay? Now, the Jamaica Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Mr. Audley Shaw, he said something. This was October last year. He said he wants the Caribbean region to prioritize agriculture as a driver of economic growth and development. This is a country, now this is a gentleman who is coming from a country, Jamaica, which has a tourism sector about 8 to 10 times the size of this country. Okay? A tourism package. They have the music, they have the sports, they have the culture, they have the resorts, they have all sorts of other things. Okay? But the tourism is not paying for the levity of the majority of Jamaicans. So from his experience and his country's experience, he is saying this, that he wants the Caribbean region to prioritize agriculture as a driver of economic growth and development. But down here in these areas here, where they recognize and says, as I just read, the potential to do that and to be food secure, we are doing the reverse. We are prioritizing the use of our country as a playground for these people who call themselves tourists, not from the region. These are call the people from the region visitors, but they were supposed to be tourists, and we call the people from outside the region tourists. Okay? So we making here their playground at our expense, because what they spend here when they come to play doesn't come to our pockets. And what they take from here, we are not paid from it. Whether it's our sand, our sea, our sun, our climate, or whatever, what they don't pay for it. But that's ours. And we are not even up awake as yet as to know how to charge them or what the cost is for that. So he says this, while acknowledging the need for the radical transformation of the sector, the agricultural sector, radical transformation, he said agriculture had to become youth-friendly, technologically driven, and research-based. Youth-friendly, technologically driven, and research-based. A lot of what he's saying is similar to what programs like these have been saying for a long time, long before 2021, long before 2018, long before that. But when it comes from a minister of agriculture, the same words probably have more effect on the ears of our listening people. So if you didn't listen when it was said from yours truly, listen what Minister Shaw is saying now, okay? Listen what he's saying. The minister was at the time speaking as chairman of the 94th Special Ministerial Meeting of the Council for Trade and Economic Development, quoted, on agriculture, held on 8th October, the last day of the 16th Caribbean Week of Agriculture. So that is what he is saying at the time, okay? He says, when we choose agriculture, we choose a sustainable food secure future. This is the Minister of Agriculture of Jamaica saying this to his counterparts in the region, you know. When we choose agriculture, we choose a sustainable food secure future. These people in this country don't seem to think so. When they choose to take land of our agriculture, they choose to enrich themselves and make the country poorer. That is what's happening. That is what is happening. And then you have our people Our people who are supposed to know better talking about jobs will be provided. Give me a break with your nonsense. That's why you're talking. Total nonsense. The jobs that will be provided cannot buy the food you have to import in quality, not in quantity, to keep your health up. And it would not stop you, the majority of people, from falling into the poverty trap. And at the end of the day, we would not have that area that will be totally destroyed, totally gone to plant anything. It would not be able to plant anything in it. So what nonsense you talk about jobs will be provided? We have too many short-sighted people out there who are supposed to know better and just gobble, gobble, gobble and jump on a bandwagon for jumping on the bandwagon seat. Jump on the bandwagon for jumping in the bandwagon seat. The rate we are going in this country, with just 12.8% of our arable land available for production right now in production, we are going to be, if we go that way, we are going to be permanently food insecure. Because we will not have the space to provide the quality and the quantity of food necessary to make our local population food secure. That's the fact. So all this talk about food security, when you harmonize it or try to harmonize it with the land availability and the land tenure security, it means it's nothing. It goes in the deficit area. And that is what we have here, Dr. Deficit in charge. Deficit of anything productive and developmental for the people. Okay? He said the meeting presented a unique opportunity. This is same Mr. Shaw. To advance policy that would enable the continued transformation of the food and nutrition security in the Caribbean. Food and nutrition security. So if you don't follow these things, you're getting sicker. Basically, that's what he's saying. But some people want to see us come sicker. They want to see the region come sicker. Walking up from by the fish market area this evening to come to the studio earlier. It was just about after 4, and a lot of people walking in that time, and I just kept shaking my head. Because it seems today was a day when most of the overweight people were in town. Ladies, I don't mean anything, I'm just telling you that you have to watch your own figure. If you're not concerned about your own figure, then you're not concerned about anything else. Not just your figure, your weight and your health. If you're not concerned about that, because yesterday I went into the supermarket and see women gleefully buying the same oils that they're not supposed to use. What are you listening to? It's been said so many times on this program and a few other programs, stay away from the soy oils and the canola oils and fats. And it said so in the document I read last week that are health retarding products, health retarding foods. But no, you're not studying that. You know what you're listening to? The lion pastors and them in the church on them. And the carnival advertisements. And the empty politics and the other radio station. That's what you're listening to. And then you're meeting Bishop on the road and asking like this. Don't ask anything if you're on the road. Listen to what you're supposed to listen to and learn from it. Stop buying those, leave them right on the shelf, those oils that are getting you to be a genetically modified person. That's it. And then you wouldn't see that this week you're wearing large and next week you have to be wearing 3X. And you can't walk good and your orders short of breath. And next thing you hear you're playing cricket, you have some stroke or something like that. It's your health you're dealing with, not mine. Everybody has to look after their own health. But when you get advice to take care of your own health and you don't heed it, you know you're ending up in. You know you're ending up. It goes for the men too. And as I was coming up this area and I had to pass the playing field and pass a school, I saw several schools. I saw several children coming from school who were obese already. School children age. And I don't mean senior school children. Obese. Watch what you're feeding the children. Watch what you're putting in their breakfast. Watch what you're giving them money to buy for and snacks in school. Because most of these trays that selling snacks around the school sell these trays with 2.5 times the amount of sugar that you should be consuming normally. And then you get addicted to it because it's a drug. So your children are addicted to unhealthy foods, health retarding foods. And it's only you are to blame, not the children, you. You are not directing them, not leading them in the right way. Because instead of studying how to protect your children and so, you're studying other people's business. Meaning the foolishness they're telling in these institutions. And I have to tell you it straight. I'm not cutting any words there. Straight. How many of you have spent an hour for the whole week, a total hour, discussing doing business together and real business? How many of you? Very little. Very little, but you're studying to stay in the system. And then you're complaining. What are you complaining about? Your choice. How many of you have starting your own ownership of a part of a sustainable business? Check it out. Check it out. But you still spend a lot of time propagating the lies of the Babylon system. You're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. And you won't get anywhere with that. Okay? He said the meeting presented a unique opportunity to advance policy that would enable the continued transformation of the food and nutrition security in the Caribbean. Ministers discussed key agricultural matters, including those related to the blue economy. So when you hear them talking here about the blue economy and so on, they're only chatting, you know, they're not really serious. Those jokers here, they're not serious. Because if they were serious, going down to Guyana earlier this week would have been an official representative of the fishing sector. Not nobody who just come in here to exploit our fishing sector. An official representative of the people who be going out there day in, day out for the last 40, 50 years to make the people here who consume fish food secure. But you're dissing them aside. You're preparing for a few rip-off high-ups who come in and will just clean the place of the wealth, leave it dirty with what they don't want and go with it and hop on to another bandwagon business. And that is how these countries are being run. Because some little politricon or little group of them up there getting the cut out of it, the pocket full. But we ain't going down the road, not this time. Not this time. Not this time, you hypocrites. He said, private sector, they discussed key agricultural matters, including those related to the blue economy, private sector involvement in the development of agriculture in the region, market access and investment in the sector, and plant and animal health. We have to be careful when they say these things, because when they say private sector involvement, they don't necessarily mean you, the people here, you know. They mean bringing some fancy person from outside who, not that bringing people from outside is wrong, don't get me wrong, but people who do not have your best interest of development at heart. That's the thing. Rip off artists. Rip off capitalists to a core. That is the people they look for, who just put money in the political party and they get something, rip you off, and 10, 15 years down the road, you worse off than before they came. We're not going to let that matrix reset in this country. Never. And I hope that the countries around us, the islands, make sure it never happens in their area either. The current environment, Minister Shaw said, revealed the importance of food security, especially for the Caribbean. And there is no food security without land tenure security. Get that into your head. There is no food security in this country or any country except we have land tenure security, where the ordinary people have access to the land which belongs to the ordinary people. Okay? The minister said that the region was being challenged to develop policy that would truly have an impact and demonstrate to the private sector and the world that this region is ready for business and for sustainable investment in agriculture. We the people have to take that and run with it. We the people. We the people. We the government. We the people. We the people. We the government of the we the people have to take that and run with it. Can't leave it to any other body. He continues, we are being challenged to marshal our best efforts to create and abide by systems and mechanisms that will make it safer and easier to trade within the region and our individual countries. Okay? We had $3.7 billion food imports, US dollars, in 2018. And the last figure I heard in 2020 was, by them, $6 billion. Same Caribbean Week of Agriculture that had risen from $3.7 billion that time to $6 billion. That is the food import bill. What about the health cost bill that food import and food consumption has caused in the region? I would have to find those figures and tag it on, because that is also part of the bill. The health costs, the money that the pharmaceutical industries are dragging out of this country by the same owners, this same have investment in food, pushing in the bad food and dragging out the money to pharmaceutical needs, to treatment of non-communicable diseases. Okay? Okay? It says, CARICOM countries, except for Belize and Guyana, are net food importers. That is what he said at the time. With at least 7 of these countries importing more than 80% of the food they consume, resulting in the region's annual food import bill estimated to be US $5 billion. That's the time he said it, eh? He pointed out CARICOM is committed to reducing its food import bill by 25% in the next 5 years. That is why they come up with this 25 in 5, as it implements its food and nutrition programs. Increased agriculture production and processing with the necessary investment were the keys to reversing this worrying trend, the chairman of the quoted said. He added that the heavy dependence on extra-regional food imports highlighted the region's vulnerability, especially when the prolonged effects of COVID pandemic are taken into consideration. He says now, our best options for export diversification are our agricultural products that face the strongest demand potential among ourselves as well as around the world. Let me read that again. Our best options for export diversification are our agricultural products that face the strongest demand potential among ourselves as well as around the world. So what he's saying is that there is a demand and a demand potential for our agricultural products among ourselves and among the world, wherever we are, in the diaspora or the world itself, the other people. But we're not making use of it. That is why when you go to what they call Argyle International, sometimes you pass there 3-4 times a day, within 2-3 hours, and you won't see anything move, and you ask yourself, where does the international really come into this thing? Where does the meaning of the term international come into it? Because you won't see anything moving, in or out, doing trade. But we're satisfied with that because we are people. Once a big board land here once a week, we feel good. Pointing out that there was opportunity to be found in any crisis. Same thing I was saying last week, context plus problem equal opportunity. Crisis is a problem, right? The minister called for increased intra-regional trade and the elimination of non-tariff barriers, which he said had virtually isolated the CARICOM market. Now people, when I was on other radio stations several years ago, not just the last radio station I was on, but before that, in the early 2013s, 14s, 15s, when Liat was having problems, and I said then that Liat must, for survival and for the region, get into the moving of freight. Liat must get into freight and not just passengers, especially food freight in the area. Some people laughed and they took it lightly. because they were not thinking. They were not thinking, and they were not prepared to think, and they wanted to shoot down the messenger and not the message. And they don't have any analytical skill. But here it is now, a minister of agriculture of a country which has a mega tourism market compared to us, of a country which has much more arable land than us, much more food production than us, whose per capita, a much larger population than us, whose per capita, per person importation of food is less than us, is saying that agriculture is a major plank and the basis for rebuilding our economy, the reposition of agriculture in the region. And when you say something, depends on who you are or who they think you are, not who you are because they don't really know, who they think you are and where you're from and so on. And the darkness in where the light's supposed to be in their minds, they try to shoot down the messenger and not the message. But they can't shoot that down. You know? They can't shoot that down. Okay? So he's saying here, he's called for that. The increase interregional trade and the elimination of non-tariff. We the people of the region have to do that collectively. Don't depend on any administration to do that. We the people, and I know that my Barbadian counterparts are up and ready to do that. I know a lot of my Trinidadian counterparts are up and ready to do that because Trinidad governments is one of the most guilty governments in terms of putting non-tariff barriers in place. Remember the problems that we were having not too long ago with traffickers getting the money out of Trinidad to come home? They could take the food in to sell it, but they were getting problems getting the money to come out. And they were talking about hard currency and all kind of garbage and so on. We have to eliminate all these non-tariff barriers in order for the region, the people of the region, to full enjoy their potential. He continues, a situation has emerged where it is easier to trade in agricultural products from Miami, the major hub in the US for trade with CARICOM, to any of the member states than it is to trade in the identical products among CARICOM member states. Just imagine that. It's easier for us to get agricultural products from Miami than we to get them from another CARICOM country right here. Just imagine that. Like I hear the tune from Black Messenger playing in my head all the time, self-haters, because we hate ourselves, people, we hate ourselves, man. Stop hating yourselves. Stop hating your brother and your sister. Okay? It says, the interregional trade in agricultural products is believed to have been hindered by non-tariff barriers as well as by artificial systems of logistics and transportation. Artificial systems of logistics and transportation. Okay? Now, the CARICOM Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Joseph Cox, also said something in the meeting, which is very important, which I want you to hear. He wants the region to use the current challenges to create space for sectors like agriculture to strategically pivot. But if you can't pivot, you ain't going anywhere. Okay? To take advantage of the opportunities that are being presented. The Assistant Secretary General for Trade and Economic Integration advised policymakers to use the COVID-19 pandemic as an accelerant for change as opposed to a disruptor. That's why we always say, flip the switch. Change the negative energy into a positive energy. Step from the darkness into the light. Heal your nation, heal yourselves. That's what you have to do, healing. Get the healing in. Okay? To create the requisite fillip for the region's agricultural sector. Emphasis had to be placed on 4 primary areas, which he identified as policy intervention, institutional strengthening, investment, and sector financing. And we the people now know from those few of us and others who know exactly how to declare ourselves and our sovereignty, and how know exactly how to get our hands on the monies which are really ours to get the right sector finance, investment and financing in. So we must work together collectively to make it happen. And we do not want any hindrance. We cannot condone any hindrance from those who decide not to wake up. There are none so asleep as those who will not wake up. You choose to sleep deliberately. None so filled with darkness as those who will not step into the light. You choose to remain in darkness. Only yourself you have to blame. So what are the 4 things? Under the rubric of policy intervention, the areas suggested are: 1, I'm going to read the first 2 because I love the first 2. Collateral reform through the establishment of a secured transitions framework, which will facilitate the use of non-traditional types of collateral, exactly farm animals, crops, etc. Somebody who has been saying it all the time is born. She'll be saying it don't have to be cash all the time. And in a credit system, you could use any collateral to get the service you need, right? Once you're dealing truthfully. So you could use your farm animals, the equity on that, your crops, the equity on that, your skills, whatever has equitable value. You should be able to use that to get some form of, to facilitate some form of investment, some form of credit coming to you to do your development. And we could trade the same way. We don't always have to trade in cash. We could trade in kind. Like our ancestors and our foreparents used to do. The second one, which I'm going to, well, I read it 4, but I will read the first 2 because he made 6. I think I'll read all, but I'll emphasize the first 2. Second is the land titling reform. And I especially want to hear this, and I'm going to bring it to you again next week in living reality, face to face, not Facebook, face to face. Land titling reform, which will treat with security of tenure and therefore unlock the latent capital that is bounded by unregistered and common law titles. That, put it in short, we have to reclaim our ownership and our entitlement to and our title of the lands for use, and make sure that that passes on to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. So there is no loss of primary agricultural land by any rulership or government ever in this country, because there are other lands that are suitable, other areas suitable for this thing like quarry. I could point out at least 20 sites right now in that Psalm North Leeward area, which could give much more quarry material and not seriously negatively impact our agriculture than that site chosen there. So in my analysis, it seems to me that something special is in that soil, which they do not want to tell the people about, and they're covering it up under the guise of being a quarry. You ain't getting away with it. You would never get away with it. As a matter of fact, I am going to encourage the North Leeward people in particular, and the people in St. Vincent in general, to send a letter to the CARICOM Secretary General and to the CARICOM heads for their meeting in August. And we're going to copy that letter to certain other relevant international and regional institutions to get this rulership to withdraw from their threat and their offer to turn that, and their contract that they have signed, not with us, with that so-called invested firm, from taking any steps to destroy our 59 acres of land, primary agricultural land, and turn it into a quarry site. Because you have committing fraud in several ways. One, you have signed on to several regional agreements to improve food security, to cut back on our importation bill. And the only way the only way this could be done is by not decreasing our areas, our soils, which are capable of producing food and thus contributing to our food security. You can't get away with this. You're not getting away with this. You could call 1,000,000 carnival till you're weak. That ain't going to change the mind of the people who thinking. Because we're not going to lose our focus in your carnival and your bacchanal. And you could travel 1,000 times to Venezuela and Cuba, that ain't going to change the electricity either. Nothing you do, nothing you shall do shall separate I and I from the love of the Father. Because blood is thicker than water. Okay? Roots, not the roots right now. We ain't easing up on this. We the people, we the sovereign people of this land are going to declare our sovereignty, our right, guaranteed internationally, our rights to use and occupy this land for generations to generations, and we're going to replenish the land as it's required in our original culture and our original law, not legalese, law, to replenish the land. And we're going to multiply on this land, and we're going to use it to take our people out of poverty, out of sickness, and out of the darkness. So you ain't see anything coming yet, because most of what you see is vanity and your own ego. But we're right there with it. We're not going to let one moment slip. We are going to inform CARICOM through the official channels exactly what's going on, and we're going to inform all the other institutions, internationally and regionally, who support CARICOM. Caribbean Development Bank, you want to be a real Caribbean Development Bank, you want your name and your state of name to mean something, development and bank, you got to step up to the plate, institution. You got to cut the crap you're doing and make sure that you are involved in the refinancing of this sector at the right areas where it needs, at the level of the fisher folk and the farmers. No skin teeth and say get money to crooked rulerships called government to do what they want. Nowhere that. And your monies, the monies you getting, we're watching you in this implementation phase, you know. The monies you getting, you can't get it from any gates of hell or any other these ethnic cleansing groups and organizations, these people who have no interest of us, these vaccine pushing people. You can't take that money and use it in them and then give your support to these people. You can't be that kind of hypocritical. We will not allow you to do it. Not in this new matrix. The moon rises on Monday and we're warning you, because that matrix going down hard. And if you go down hard in the matrix, you ain't coming back up. You're like Humpty Dumpty. None of the king horse and the king men could put you together again. So we are warning all these real institutions, and we're warning the international ones like FAO, who have been wasting time just producing pretty statistics. Well, the people who really do the work, most of them are innocent, because they do it on a professional level to get paid. But when the work is done, it just sits there on a shelf and it's not getting out. It doesn't even get to the knowledge of some people, much more to the implementation. So FAO and WHO and all these other international organizations who are there to perpetuate the darkness and try to recreate the matrix of the darkness, you're in real trouble right now. You're in real trouble. We're not giving you any breathing space. Not in these countries anymore. Not in these countries. We're cleaning house. As Trump was saying, we're draining the swamp. We're more than draining. We're sanitizing. We're not just draining. We're draining and we're sanitizing. We're creating new vessels for the clean vessels for the new wine. We ain't training new vessels. We're not training new wine into old vessels. Not at all, as a people in the Caribbean. So that is where we are, and that is where we're going. So people, you stay tuned. We just starting to get warm on these topics. We're not giving them any rest up. Stay tuned, stay focused. Keep working together. Of course, you have to enjoy life and free up yourself, but you don't have to do that by getting into vain things and by letting your guard down and so on. Your mental guard, your spiritual guard, that's what I mean. Keep focused, and do what you're supposed to do. So until next Friday, remember that today, tomorrow, and even up to Sunday, you still have chance to clean your lands, harvest what you have to harvest, and get prepared for when the new moon comes up. On Wednesday, you will be a new person, new life. So I say Wednesday or Tuesday? Yes. When the new moon comes up, to participate in it and be a new person, okay? To be a new person, a new liberty, and that we'll have a new realization in this time to form our new economy. So until then, yes, the new moon comes up on Monday. Until then, I want to say, have a pleasant weekend, and hope to see you lovingly together next week, most willing. Yeah. Exodus. Don't worry, the talking heads and the hypocrites. And I don't know if we have time, but even before Exodus, I still want to touch them with Beanie Man, because I get a request to do that. I still want a Beanie Man for the Campton Massive, the school children of Camden Park, the school children of Campton and Lomans. All that is Campton. Okay? Yes, man, that's what they were. Talking heads, just talking, and no action. Talking heads.
Centuries ago, you fought for your freedom. You took it from France. You're the first in the region. Ever since that day, France has made you pay for what you considered lost property. Now you're turning to CARICOM to correct this anomaly. Hey, people say flat. Hey, don't bother with that. CARICOM is just a talk shop annually.
Just a talk shop annually.
15 talking heads of CARICOM. 15 talking heads. The region wants to know where you're coming from. 15 talking heads.
15 talking heads, man.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light every Friday, 7 p.m.
Nation on the slide. No action. Murder, genocide. No action. Your approach you just cannot comprehend. Mother Haiti, I'm sorry. It's not that we hate thee. We just shame to say we can't walk the walk. We can't walk the walk. We famous for talk and talk and talk and talk.